and welcome to the stream. My name is Lee. Yes, we are starting a lot longer, later than we should. Today's been interesting. I have yet to do anything actually useful today, so that's fun. Um, I have instead been, um, doing nothing. So I don't know how to explain what I've been doing instead. But, in any case, I am putting myself together. I'm sorry to say that. Uh, I am getting, uh, yeah. Um, no, that's not true. I was cleaning today, so I think that's helpful. And I made good food for myself ish, so I think that's also helpful. Um, but what was I gonna say? Um, um, we're gonna do a thing. So, welcome on into the um stream. My name is Lee. For those of you who know the stream well, know that this is about the level of organization I usually have, where we're kind of just not. We're getting there. We're slow and steady getting there. It's you know, but I need to go to my stream manager. Is what I need to do. I'm in the stream manager. Okay. Yep. All right. So yeah. For those of you who know, my name's Lee, and we do our streams as writing and reading and other nonsense. So move between 17 mining colonies. Okay, so Mishtoka had 5 planets on which are probably habitable. The third one was just too far. Was just too far, but had been terraformed into something almost livable and was used for agriculture, especially engineered crops. The other, yes, um, um, the was ad hoc had was have eminent permanently by over 10,000. Well, hang on. Now I gotta figure out populations. There's 17 stations. Uh, probably has like uh population 40,000, 50,000 for the main one. That's okay. So I was gonna say about Mishtoke is that I hadn't the so I had an entire spiel about history, and let me hang on. Let me see if I can find um uh um the um yeah, there is that, and that is the only file I have. I had another um at some point. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna remove this. We're going to um okay. Um mhm. No, 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 no. Sorry, I'm trying to. Why is it doing that? Stop it, stop it, stop. Stop it. Okay. Um. Okay, let me go. Sorry, I'm trying to find a copy of this Delete. Yes, we're deleting that. Okay. Just because there's nothing else also useful in the file. See, I had created a file like this whole storyline, and I don't know where I put it. I wrote it all out at some point somewhere, and now I can't find it. So, okay, okay, I'm gonna have to rewrite it. That's how we're gonna. No, we're doing. You know what? If we're doing an RTF file, we can actually do proper freaking like paragraph form, right? Okay. They're gonna start now, and I'm gonna explain about Mishtoka a little bit and why. Well, I'm gonna rewrite it. It's. Thank you for being patient with me. I'm sorry. If I drove anyone away with being silly and. Okay. Um. Okay. It's gonna be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're gonna have an ad. We're gonna have an ad. That's fine. In the meantime, I'm going to go to um. Okay. What was I doing? Oh yes, I am. Okay. Silly things. What I'm doing is saying that I'm live and inviting everyone to come and hang out with me, and that okay. Um. Okay. All right. Okay. Ad break is done. We're back and welcome back. Feel free to say hi in the chat. I am sorry about that. Basically, I thought I had written more about Mishtoka and I hadn't. Well, I did. I just don't have it in an accessible file, which kind of sucks because I had. So we're gonna have to do this. Um, um, colony, but the corporate colony, but the that had colonized it. Um, and okay, so in company security forces were in charge of. Okay, so yeah, and all of the basics of everyday living. Yeah, like corporate colony. Yeah, that's company. Well, or company towns. Company towns were a whole different thing. Um, um, um. Okay, hang on. I have to do this because if I don't do that, I am. Okay. Okay. So essentially, what happened with Mishtoka is a company town, and the colonized it had folded the owner because it was a fully had been arrested for sexual misconduct, probably. Um, of the Earth branch. The Earth um, branch. No, we into ground. Um, I think they're vacuuming upstairs. Uh, okay. Okay. Permanently. Okay. So into the ground, trying to siphoning money off to pay court costs. Siphoning money off to pay court. Siphoning money off to pay court costs. Right. Siphoning money off to pay court costs. Um. Okay. Um. Um. All right. I. Okay. Um. Okay. Okay. Pay off court costs. So the right. So okay. So the company went under. Um. The um. Entire had gone up on auction to pay for. What are they paying for? Hang on, I'm trying to think this through. I'm trying to figure out if that's yeah. Um. Okay. What was I doing? I ended up opening a second Word document on another tab, and okay, but this one is what we're working on. I guess it's kind of silly to work on Mishtoka, but because it was just one random one I did one time, but I feel like I had an infinity for it, so I got to actually pay for. Um, yes, there's one ship. There's a reason there's one ship. Um, pay for trying to organize world building notes into like a cohesive narrative so that it doesn't get confusing to read is a tricky thing. Um, okay, there's only one that moves between the. Mistoka's the star, but they give him Mistoka's system facility had gone to auction to pay for um, as part of the bankruptcy. In the okay, so union and the union yep. All right, yep. To buy out the okay, they cobbled together the funds to buy out the um co-op. All right, there is drama in there, and I feel like there was more to it than that. Um. Okay. I want to keep that open, but I want to keep this open, and I appreciate all of you coming to hang out with me. Any of you who do, and even those of you um watch it VOD later, because there probably will end up on the interwebs at some point. Um, I've been I need to start working on the backlog of those. That's another thing I need to do, but that's a whole other thing, and not for today for sure. Okay. Yeah. So what can I say? Sorry, I feel like I'm gonna pass out a little bit. Okay, but I want to have at least a little bit of a stream because we got going with Mistoka, and I was gonna ask the Furlough system for Fuller. How do you say it? Yeah, it's because it's an umlaut. Um, Fulero. But I need that one. It's a collaborative one, and I am not going to with Celiax, who you might recognize the name as a friend of the stream, who is frequently one of my Rogue Trader players and frequently on. Yeah, on the stream. Yeah, frequent nonsense. Okay, so he plays Fennec, but he helped me build a world and a system. Rather, he did for the Argent Sentinels, who yeah. Um, okay. All right. All right. All right. Okay. So, um, okay. All right. Brain is falling apart. Okay. As collective. Um, 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 interst were okay. Um, um, okay. Um, um, okay. Um, okay. I don't know. Okay. Um, where most ships during interstellar deliveries were. I was gonna try this one. Um, interstellar deliveries were human. Um, most human run ships, I should say. Human crewed ships were subcontracted for three large. Had forbidden their captains. Yep. From working with Mistoko. Um, 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 mm, okay. With the newly, um, um, and no Earth, would buy their stock. Okay. Nobody, anyone, um, 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 okay. Boardrooms. Yep. All right. Hi, Desi. Declan Cap. Welcome on in. Welcome to the stream. My hydration is empty. Um, welcome on in. I am working on a. I pulled a random file. Today's been kind of. Uh, so I pulled a random file. Mistoka. Which was. I was bored one day and invented a solar system, and then started trying to like pepper it with give it a little backstory. So I had this whole thing written and I cannot find the file. If I typed it up, it might have been handwritten on in a notebook somewhere that I don't know which notebook. So we're just kind of it might be in the notes tab on my phone. I don't know, but we're just retyping the story. Yeah, just working on Mishtoka. It's a planet. Well, it's a star rather that was um. Yep, I have so many, and I forgot about that binder. Um, that one was sorry, I just saw it across the room. Um, exactly, which can be fun. But it's nice to have a notebook sometimes. But that one was trying to remember. Oh yeah. Um, that one was a Traveler Universe story. But the Mishtoka, I think I wrote it. I think I drew a map on in crayon on a because we had a box of crayons at work that broke when they fell out of someone's package, and like we had a whole box, like 100 packs of crayons that broke to the point where they could only barely salvage it. So I think they just threw it and just kind of called the insurance, wrote it off as a loss, and which is a shame because they were nice crayons. But I ended up with like a bunch of broken crayons that we were using them for various things. But I also for writing labels, just notes for stuff. But I used them to draw on a scrap bit of cardboard a map of this planet or the star system, I think. Oh, but vis-a-vis all of that, um, and I still have that map in my bag. Oh yeah, of course it's fading because it's written with crayon. But oh right. So Mishtoka, basically it was a triumph of a co-op against corporate greed, and it kind of screwed them over. So I am just um, trying to write that part, the co-op collective. Right, corporate boardrooms. Um, um, right, corporate power structure. Yes. And then I was going to try to figure out population numbers and um, on frequent food deliveries. Yes, relying on frequent food deliveries. Okay, 17 minutes. I got that going. Yes, relying on food deliveries, relied on supply deliveries for basic necessities, and fledgling has an is an L fledgling. Um, um for basic necessities and okay, yes. Um, they did manage to. Oh no, they bought. Oh, they bought out. Yes, I need to put that in too. They did manage um to Right. Get um a particularly newly minted colony. I don't know, but a newly minted colony. I don't think they're particularly desperate. Newly minted colony. To con for um a lot the materials to build up their industrial base. Their industrial base. Um, yeah, okay. Uh, yes, the limited colony, the industrial base. Yeah, all right. So, by contracting a, yep, maps are um a challenge. Yeah, maps are a challenge. It's not even that I'm missing the map as such. Like, I don't even need a map. But if I wanted a map, like, I'd have to draw it, right? And I can't just draw it on paper because then I can't. Okay, well, I could draw it on paper and then what? Photograph it and stick it up there. Maybe I could do it in MS Paint, possibly. Or that's the only image processing program I have is MS Paint, so it's doable, maybe. Um, but and I've done it before, but it's just I'm not very visual, so I don't necessarily need maps a lot of the time, but I know it helps certain things with having a map. It's like I just drew the map because I was bored, but like I- it's I think a if I ever have readers they'll expect a map, and b it would be good to have one for my own knowledge, but putting it into a format that can be preserved electronically and not be stuck as a paper version that's subject to the rigorous wear and tear of existence is kind of a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna lie, and it's just, bleh. All right, but um, I don't necessarily need one though. By contracting a alien transport ship to okay to work with them. The species in question had not developed space travel on their own. Okay. Oh. Alright. I think this is the tricky part. Okay. Is the question not develop space travel on their own? They had instead um Interstellar trader, desperate for supplies. Okay. Sorry. I feel like my brain is not 100% today. And, but I feel like I need to keep, at least try to stream because I'm trying to keep a consistent schedule of streaming, 3 days a week, right around the same time every day. Trying to keep that consistency going. Oh. Something's up on my ear. I don't know what it is. And that's not good. Okay. Guess just don't fiddle with it. Right? Um. Oh, wow! We have a raid! Tiger, hello, hello! Roar Books, indeed! Hello, hello! Welcome on in. Um. Today's not Wednesday, so I'm not doing Greyhawk. I'm doing, welcome Raiders. My name is Lee. Um. Yep. Welcome on in. My name is Lee. Oh, stream's going alright, except I feel like I'm crashing. Energy wise, but I feel like I should keep streaming because I do the stream. I'm trying to, as I was saying, I try to stay consistent a little bit. But I want to go for at least another 20 or 30 minutes because, um, yeah, I stream for at least an hour and trying to be consistent about that. But what was I going to say? Tigers. Oh, right. Hi. My name is Lee, and I'm a writer, and I also known as Elhawk. I am working on the story of a star called Mishtoka that I invented one day when bored, and I had a half-finished file, and I think I wrote the rest of it on paper somewhere, and I do not remember what notebook I may have written it in, so we're just recreating it from memory. Yeah, Mishtoka. It's a fun little story about, yeah, it's a fun little story about, um, a group an ex-colony, or an ex-corporate mining facility that bands together as a co-op and manages despite the odds. And yeah, that's the story. So far, we're working on how they managed to get one ship to help them when they couldn't get any Earth based ships because they are all corporate and nobody wants. No, none of the big corporation. They've been basically blacklisted by any corporation of reasonable size because they kind of represent dangerous ideas, essentially. And that they're not big enough that they can kind of create a monopoly on anything. Like anything they have resource wise, other places also have. So it's pretty. Yeah, they have a lot of different minerals and stuff that they mine, but nothing so spectacular that it can't be gotten on other planets or whatever. Um, they do have one colony that, because of the closeness, it's actually really helpful. Um, um, let's see. Uh, Newly minted mine colony to contract them with the materials needed to develop their industrial base. Um, uh, was awkwardly positioned. Awkwardly positioned. Um, um, Interspace lanes. Um, Intraspace corridors. That's how we're gonna get around. That's how we're getting around the speed of light. Uh, inter intraspace. In space. Okay, space is spelled intraspace. Yeah, intraspace corridors. What are they exactly? I don't know. Technobabble. They exist. They help you travel faster than light. I'm not gonna. They are. They run very specific routes. So if you want to get like, you have to navigating the routes. Um, navigating them is requires a certain amount of knowledge and something like that. Yeah, something like that along those lines of like um it allows you to go in and out of various spots, but it does getting um to certain places becomes difficult. And if you're not near well-traveled routes and you're kind of on back like small back roads, or the equivalent of small back roads that are difficult to navigate, then you don't get, getting people to come out there is a challenge. And yeah, it's, if your town's not on a major highway, it's harder to convince, deliveries to go. Um, yeah, delivering things to places that aren't on major highways is a pain. And because space is so vast and difficult, getting any, and there's not any, they have no, um, companies have no reason to agree specifically to go to various colonies, and they tend to charge extra if your colony is not on well-known routes. And so if you're had a colony that's awkwardly positioned, you're kind of screwed. Which this particular colony was. Oh, actually, hang on. That's an interesting point. I'm Yeah. So that's kind of why they agreed to work with Mishtoka, is that it's closer, and it's closer, and they can it's yeah, it's closer, so uh they can get there. So this one is off the path from Earth enough that, yeah, okay, hang on. All right, yes, this we're gonna make this a separate paragraph because I hadn't thought about exactly this new colony all that much yet, but now we're working on that. Um, uh, for yeah, deliveries from Earth charged a premium. Earth-based corporations were charged at a premium. Um, okay. Okay, we're gonna do this. Hang on, we're gonna put this sentence. Okay. To connect them with industrial base. Paste. The colony was awkwardly, yes, was on a really naturally a naturally livable planet. Um, yes, go have dinner. Thank you for dropping by with all. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for dropping by with all your friends. And anyone who else was in the raid. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Absolutely. Oh, probably will go for at least. Um, let's see. What's our? Okay. Oh, we have an ad break. Dang it. Okay. I would suggest that during this ad break, all of you who came in on the raid, um, refresh the page so that it doesn't show. We're gonna have the ad break is gonna hear. I could snooze it, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go to the break screen. I highly suggest you all refresh the page, but you don't have to. And then I will get water, and then I will come back, and then we will do um a little bit more on the planet and the aliens who run the ship and all that stuffs. Um, okay, I think that's the plan. Corporations were charged. Deliveries were charged at a premium. Yes. Um, been blamed, but okay, yes. Yeah, it's awkwardly. It doesn't have any. No one's laying claim to it. No native sentient life. No other species that anyone knows about who want it as their own. Just basic um, green fields, blue sky, fresh running water. All of the good stuff that makes Earth so gorgeously Earth-like. And they found another planet that had that, and it's really hard to get to. So they're trying to figure out what to do about that, and they're looking for supplies and hey, mining. Then they don't have to do mining locally, which helps preserve the environment. So actually, it's a win-win if they can find, especially if it doesn't depends on what metal deposits it has too. I wonder if the well, that's another question for another time. Let me. It's frustrating when it says the ad's starting soon because then there we go. Okay, let me. Um. Bob. Okay, I'm back. That's why I timed the. I have a cheat sheet actually. Hello, welcome back, everyone. I have a little a cheat sheet that tells me when there's gonna be ads. So then I can just aha, sneak out, try and get the So I try to time, if I take a small break, I time it with the ads. Of course, I'm slow, but I got 2 cups of liquid. I got coffee and water, so, you know, I haven't had any coffee so far. So, yes, the ad timing is deliberate. I'm glad I got it right. Oh, yes. Let's see. The only problem was transport, right? Colony was a naturally livable planet that had been claimed, but was awkwardly positioned along interspace corridors, and therefore deliveries from a corporation would charge a premium. The colonists did not have the equipment to mine their own metals and minerals. And also we're hesitant. Oh, but I don't know. The question on that is there a, like, I don't know, a some sort of, like, is life on Earth? Because I know we have this kind of delicately balanced ecosystem that has um, where different things are um, required. Um, but the question is, would it be possible for to have an Earth-like planet that didn't have, I don't know, copper or zinc or any of the, the numerous heavy metals that exist on Earth that we mine and use for all of our industrial processes: iron, copper, bronze, tin. Which is just bronze is just tin plus copper, right? So brass, which is copper plus tin plus something, nickel, I think. But my point is, there's a whole plethora of accessible metals that humans. Zinc, yeah, okay. Brass is with zinc. Um, but yeah, my point is that there is a huge number of metals that humans mine and use, and who has access to deposits of those has decided the rise and fall of empires. But and so we base a lot of our technology on that. But my point is, would it be possible to have a perfectly livable planet with a fully fledged ecosystem that lacked one or more of these minerals or metals, or would it just be, is Earth-like life tied in any way to? I mean, iron, because we have hemoglobin. So, but having loose rock iron, mineable iron deposits, is that, like, I know humans need it for and humans need a certain amount as a um nutrient, which is why spinach is such a big thing. But what was I gonna say? Mm, true. You probably could use silicone. I don't know about well, I guess there's life that had silicone based systems instead of hemoglobin. They would have some sort of silicone based thing. But my point is, yeah, is Earth like life? Um, yeah, that's true. I'm sure you could come up. There would be ways to create biology. But my point, I guess, is if humans were to try to colonize a planet, if they found one with Earth-esque life, plants and water and maybe animals and mushrooms and stuff, would that necessitate that a lot of these existed somewhere? That were what is what that is to say, how likely is it to find a planet that had life, that had plants and animals and water and all of the and breathable O2 air, and all these things that humans needed to live and thrive, but that didn't have all of the minerals needed, all of the metals and minerals needed for industrial use. Like, is that tied to habitability in some kind of intricate woven web way, or is it completely superfluous and it's just Earth happens to have both because we're very lucky like that. That is because, yeah, because humans might, ideally, in an ideal space colonization scenario, we find another planet that has plants and animals and stuff, but isn't inhabited by anyone sapient who, um, well, that's true. Well, that also depend. Wait, why is this not charging? All right, my computer is apparently not charging properly. It's supposedly plugged in, um, but it's not. Uh, okay, the power strip isn't working. That is good to know. Um, true. True, but how rare are planets where you can just live on them? That's the other thing. Is yeah, all right. Um, planets where you can just live, breathe on open atmosphere must be very rare, and those that have new plants and animals that might have be of use, or or have soil that can grow wheat. Like having soil that wheat will grow in, and insects that might be able to pollinate it would be worth its weight in um exactly. Another thing too is if it has a functioning water system where you get evaporation and condensation and breathable O2 and soil where you can grow wheat, like that is premium. So if you can't get the metals, well, import them from Earth maybe. Let me have a second. Let's. All right, that I had to switch the power strip from one plug to the other because um yeah, but yeah, so you might end up with a planet where you're yeah, there is hypothetically water below Martian surface, although we can't really, you know, they're still trying to do all the science for Mars, and figure out what is there and isn't. I know they did find some ice. The moon does have ice. I think they found, but um, I guess my point in that is, how likely is it that you'd find a planet that had all of the green stuff and none of the metal stuff? Because asteroids that have metal are a dime a dozen. You can find, um, if you can have the industrial base to snag asteroids, you can find all of the metals. Um, yeah, you can find all of the metals you need. The problem is the equipment needed to mine asteroids, it requires a lot of metal to build and maintain. So a newly fledged colony would need a lot of that to start out with. And if it was difficult to travel to and from Earth, then it would be in a weird position because they couldn't build a lot of stuff because they'd be stuck, with a lower tech level, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Like they could maybe the people live there could make do, I'm sure, but it would still be it would need a lot of support in its fledgling stages of to get metals and stuff. They'd have to import them at least at the beginning. Maybe once they built up the industrial base, they could mine asteroids and or just strip mine the planet. But oh, that's true. Well, but maybe it's bigger. That's the other thing. Yeah, that's true. Because if part of Earth's heaviness, the gravity is the density, right? And gravity is based on size. So if it's bigger but less dense, it would have the same weight or size. So same gravitational pull. Um, that is a thought. Though I think it's more probably mining is not very good on the environment. And so if you have the option to not mine on your planet, it's actually probably a better option. I mean, we have trashed this planet with mining because we didn't have any other option, um, if we wanted to build all of the metal things that we come to enjoy and need in life, like wireframe glasses and computers and all sorts of stuff. But that does kind of take a toll on the Earth, the planet itself. So if you have a completely new planet and you're like, well, we could just import the metals from places, the asteroids that don't have life on them. Sorry, we got way off topic, but worth thinking about. Um, let's see. Hesitant. Okay, unsure of metal resources. That's true. Well, true. Planetary rotation. Um, Possibly. I don't know if the rate of rotation around the Earth is dependent on weight as such. That's the question. Does Earth rotate at the 24-hour rate because of its weight or because of how it got sent into orbit? Like, or is its positioning is it like, I'm sure the positioning via the sun and how fast it was going originally when it entered orbit, um, set it on its trajectory, and there's probably a bunch of factors as to how fast it spins. Um, I'm Weight could very well be one of them, or mass or density. Yeah, mass and density, which yeah, could very well both be factors in that. Um, but I don't know enough about physics to know which way that would swing it if it were different. And it's also possible that they have metals, it's just all iron and they don't have, copper, for example, which is means you can build steel beams, but you can't build electrical wires. Like, it could be stuff that's just as dense, just not as varied. Um, I mean, each one has a slightly different, proportional density, but it's very possible. Well, also, can the thing about a planet's core is you can't extract it. Like, Earth has a molten iron core, I think, although no one's ever, ever properly sampled it. But iron in a planet's core is irrelevant to life on the planet. In so much as it's not a resource that people can tap. Like, people living on a planet can't drill down and just use like mine out the core for resources. Certainly not without first importing. True, it's interior heat. Although that definitely changes the way life on the planet develops and how it holds atmosphere and the gravity and how it wobbles, but it doesn't necessarily change, like, the practicality of I was going to say the practicality of getting iron as a resource. Like, there could be a dozen ways that it doesn't have the livable resources, but still has plenty enough metal to make it as heavy as Earth, which would probably then lead to a lot of similar life development. We grow plants and fungus that kind of turned out pretty similar to those on Earth, but without the industrialization potential that Earth had. Which would kind of suck if humans moved in and realized, oh shoot, we don't have copper, and we want to build electrical wires to have, heating in our homes and stuff, and we can't build the copper because we have to figure out other things to make wire out of, because yeah, copper has really good conductivity, and therefore is the um, I think you can use other wires to do electricity, but copper is the one of choice simply because of its conductive properties. If I recall correctly, my knowledge of electrical engineering is piecemeal at best. Um, um, yes, okay, but resources. They might um mm, had and um okay, so they didn't know what kind of resource they had. They were also um that's true. I mean, assuming that whoever lived there would have could figure out a way to build bioelectricity. I mean, if anyone lived there natively, yes, they would probably develop sources that didn't rely on copper, and maybe bioelectricity would be something they'd build. But if humans landed there, do they have the tech to make bioelectricity happen? Is the question. And if not, can they develop it? That's the question. Is yeah, okay. And more importantly, how long does that take to research and develop? And if you have someone on another planet who's willing to sell you and ship you copper, uh, do you even bother? That's the question. It's like, oh, well, we could do this and this and this, and not run copper wires. Well, or we could just buy copper. That's the other thing is if you're at a stage where you can colonize another planet, you very well might be at a stage where you can also ship supplies between them. Now, granted, it depends on how you set up your colonization efforts. If it's a generational ship, you're gonna have to develop alternate sources if you don't have the right materials to develop the traditional power. Um, if you have easy access to the rest of the galaxy, then you just import it. Is that's a easier option, especially if you have like Mishtoka with the that has copper on one of its asteroids that's willing to sell it cheap because they don't have any other customers. Um, but they may or may not have copper is the question. Oh yes. Um, we're also um, I guess if any life did develop natively on the planet and realize, hey, electricity is a thing we can do to make stuff move and build all sorts of useful gadgets that make our lives easier, and they don't have access to a lot of metals, yes, it's very well possible develop. They go down alternate routes or find and invent other ways of harnessing electricity that humans never bothered to look into because we've got copper wire. We don't need to. But they might develop methods of building electricity that we hadn't even considered because um, we grew up on Earth. But if they're Earth colonists, then the question is, do they have the um, would they be able to? They might very well, if left and having no other options, or just it's not impossible they would develop it anyway. But the question is, yeah, it's possible. I guess I didn't even think about other methods of electricity as plausible. Um, all right, and then I was trying to figure out. Okay, we think the question. Transport. Um, interplanet. The greater interplanetary community. What even is piezoelectricity? Is piezoelectricity? Now I'm curious. You brought it up though. So, Crystals, certain ceramics, and biological matter such as bony, in response to applied mechanical stress. Huh. It apparently is spelled like this. That's apparently how it's spelled based on what I've been able to think. Unless it's a completely different setup, in which case, dang, okay, there's multiple. But this one, it's, okay. Um, Electromechanical interaction between the mechanical and electrical states in crystalline materials with no inversion symmetry, reversible process. Materials exhibiting the effect also exhibit the reverse effect, an internal generation of mechanical strain resulting from applied electric field. Measurable pieces of electricity when their static structure is deformed by about 0.1% of the original dimension. Conversely, those same crystals will change about 0.1% of their static dimension when electrical field is applied. Um, that's how they do ultrasound waves. Interesting. Oh, Jacques and Pierre Curie. Um, okay, Jacques. Um, oh, so Jacques was Pierre Curie's older brother, apparently, and Pierre Curie was married to what's her name? Um, Marie Sko Skodowska Curie. Maria Skodowska Curie. Uh, yes, apparently. She actually did keep half her name. Was Polish and kept some of her name. But anyway, her husband and Pierre Curie and his brother apparently discovered this effect in 1880. Interesting. Um, Inkjet printing, high voltage electricity clock generator, microbalances to drive ultrasonic nozzle and try and focusing on optical assemblies. Scanning probe microscopes. Oh wow. Um, oh, in the pilot, sparks to ignite cigarette lighters. Huh. Um, huh. I learned a new science thing today. Very cool. Thank you, Dazzling Cat, for teaching me science stuffs. I am going to. Hang on. I'm gonna put it on the Discord. I think on our um 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 um. um. Okay. Oh, it's already. Oh, dang. We got past. Hang on. We are. Okay, it is getting late. The reason I worry is because I do have to eventually get myself put together for work, and such. But I learned a new term, and thank you, Dazzly Cat, for teaching us a new term. But yes. Okay. Interplanetary community. Oh, and actually, though, but humans already know. So if it's already a well known phenomena, then it's possible that they build electrical device. Oh, if they build electrical devices that all run on this kind of crystal power thing because they don't have wiring, so they can't do wire like generation delivery the way we do. You'd have to build anything you built with electricity to have this sort of power source as opposed to being able to be plugged into a grid, essentially. Which because you can't run this sort of thing on a grid, I would imagine, unless you had wire, which you can't do if you don't have copper. But if you built any mechanical or electrical built device that you had to run on this principle, that's a thought. A completely tangential thought to the story I'm trying to tell with Mishtoka, but an interesting one nonetheless. And we are going to put a pin in that because I. Okay, hang on. Okay, but the aliens. I didn't even get to the aliens and their whole thingamabob because we got distracted by how metal works and resources and stuff. But this is what happened to the streams. I'm not even. Um. Yes, I'm not even mad. Like I learned a cool new thing today. So thank you, Dazzling Cat, for teaching me a cool new thing. A Dazzling Cat. Thank you, Dazzling Cat. But ooh, okay, yes. Um, mostly by trade. Mostly by trade. Interplanetary community, mostly by trade. Yes. Space program. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Uh, duh, duh. Okay. Yeah. All right. That was like 20 minutes ago. All right. What was I gonna say? I need to shut down the thingamabob because I need to go to work and I have wages I need to earn and um yeah, I need to go to work. That's essentially a thing I have to do because that's how life works is you got to have gainful employment in other industries. And I don't write enough to make that unnecessary yet. And even if I did, I don't know. I probably still would maintain a partial employment. So, but that means maintaining employment means I need to go to work, which means I need to um get um all set up, which means I need to end the stream, which means I need to thank you all for coming to the stream and hanging out with me and all of the welcome all of the people who came in raiding with Tiger. I highly suggest you follow me because I'm cool like that. And if you want more world building nonsense, I usually do. This is the first time I did Mishtoka, but I usually do Tuesdays and Thursdays are random tabletop RPG stuff, which devolves into world building and or world building. Wednesdays are edit the Greyhawk wiki. I don't know if you guys know Greyhawk. Like tomorrow. Oh, Quill, hi! You were here the whole time. Hello, hello. Welcome on in. Um, yeah, it's always fun to have you lurking around. I appreciate it. All right. Um, all right, everyone. Make sure you take care of yourselves. That's my final parting message, and we are going to raid. Who are we going to raid, you might ask? Well, let's see who's on. Keep the trade going. I think maybe writer of some class. Keep the trade going. We got Rush for Hire. We got Jamie who does fun art stuff. LJ Spencer. Oh, Sable. Yeah, let's go raid Sable. Keep the GOT train going of GOT authors raiding each other. We're gonna go raid Sable. Alright, everyone, we are gonna go raid and Sable stream. Say hi. Actually, I only got because Sable raided me randomly once. So, spread the love. Let's do it. Let's all raid Sable. We're all gonna go say hi and clear yourselves. Pop by tomorrow for Greyhawk and Thursday for. We're doing Warhammer 40k on Thursday. I'm declaring it now. Let's go. But let's go say hi to Sable. Um, are we ready? Oh, if you're following, there are orange and green emotes. Those say raid in very small print. If you want to use those. Off we trot. Ready? Just